do all of those things because it's scary. It's scary to get out there.
So I'm curious now, if you take the pedals away, what do you do with them? Just walk the bike?
Well, there's these great bikes out now for little toddlers, and they're called Strider bikes. And what you do is you figure out how to move your feet.
Oh, I see.
And how to push yourself. And it's the same thing on a bigger bike. So you're figuring out how to push yourself and figuring out how to steer at the same time.
Right. So have you ever come across, and I know it's been recent, but you've been in part of it for a long time, where kids just said, it's not for me?
There are kids. It's like that certain athletic activities aren't for them. And like my son, he went through 12 different sports. He did track, he did soccer, he was a swimmer for many years. But when he came to cycling, this was it. He was ready. He found it. But I think that it's important that kids explore and figure out where is their strong points and what they really want. And our programs go from 7 to 18. And so there's a lot of time to explore during that time. And for some kids, though, cycling's it. They just love it. They want to do it. They love mountain biking. They love being on the road, especially for the older kids that have been in our programs for a while or even new to our programs.
What have you found? And again, I know you're just in the executive director spot for 5 months, but what have you found through the years from a kid cyclist, good students, overachievers? What's the type of them? Does it make sense?
Well, it does. I think it's all types because we don't have a goal of getting a kid on a bike and having them be a competitive cyclist. We're about youth development, and so kids find many things in the sense of what their interest is. For some, it's racing. For others, it's about being with their friends, and others just want to feel good, healthy, like become healthy, and they like the idea of working hard towards that. Like in the last couple of years, we've developed a program, a bike packing program, and it's as rigorous as racing a bike. And the youth are going out and going on these long weekend bike camping where they have all their gear on their bikes. They're climbing the backside of the Rincon Mountains or up Mount Lemmon or going to Colossal Cave. And that's pretty challenging. But for them, it's about feeling their own strength. And for one of the kids on the bike packing group, he used to be a couch potato, was very much into video, and it's sort of like his mom was ready for him to do something else, and the family had gone through some challenges, and he came to El Grupo, and now he came in through the younger program, Grupito, and then he came into mountain biking, and he loves it. And it's kind of it's a little bit more, I don't want to call it solitary, but there's a lot more reflective because you're out in nature. Yeah. And
a lot of time to think.
A lot of time to think. And being on a bike, there's a lot of time to think in general. When you're whichever program our youth are in, there's time to think on the bike because kids are putting in, they'll go on 4-hour rides or 6-hour rides, so there's plenty of time to think. But there's also time to talk with other people around you, look around, enjoy yourself.
Sure. But that's something you have to pay attention. There's a lot of things. You got to obviously pay attention, being on the bike, steer, pedal, observe surroundings, be a defensive driver, I assume.
Right.
Just kind of, you kind of learn your surroundings that way.
Right. One of the things that's really important to us at El Grupo is for our youth and our coaches and our volunteer coaches, and we have about 74 volunteer coaches, for everybody to be safe on the road, and that's following rules. It's like there's some rules of the road. It's like when you're riding in single file and when you're two abreast, how to pass people. Always stop at the stop sign and especially the stop light. Right. And it's sort of following some of the rules that drivers are following, but to ensure that there's safety. Right. Because it's dangerous out there for cyclists on the road because oftentimes cars don't understand what they're doing on the road, why they're in that close to that lane, why they're out in the lane. But it's like cyclists are trying to be very defensive and safe riders because it's their life that's out there.
Sure. Tom, I think we're going to take our first break here at 5:20. Come back and talk about safety, things like that. Just more about the cyclist's mentality and things like that here on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. We have Kate Heller here from El Grupo, the executive director. She's 5 months into the system here. Took over from a good group, Ignacio and Gabriela. So what's a good day at El Grupo?
We've got, it's the afternoon. It's about 3:45 and the kids start rolling in.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a big old warehouse that's full of donated bikes from the community. Lots of cyclists donate bikes and equipment and things like that. And our older kids use that. And our younger kids use bikes that we've gotten from with help with foundations in the city. So about 3:45, the kids start coming in, and we're seeing kids from 6 to 18, and the older kids come through one door, and they've got one end of the clubhouse, and the younger kids come in through the other door because we've got big old garage doors that they're come in, and the kids start working on their bike, changing into their kits, and the younger kids are getting their bikes and they're starting to practice out in our yard. Mm-hmm. And it's a great thing to see so many kids just happy, interacting with each other and starting to get ready to do practice. Mm-hmm. And so there's a wonderful moment as the coaches start talking to each of their groups about what the ride's going to be. And they talk about safety. They talk about who's the lead coach. We have a lot of volunteer coaches, so every group that goes out has a staff coach and 2 to 3 volunteer coaches. And so there's sort of like the protocol of how are we going to be safe, who's in charge, where we're going, when we'll be back, that kind of thing. And then the groups start rolling out, and they go to a variety of places depending on the workout that day. We're lucky that we're downtown and we're close to the west side. And so that provides us with a lot of places for kids to ride, no matter how old they are. And so the older youth might go out St. Mary's and up and over into Camino de Oeste or up to the 36th Street trails, depending on if they're riding on road or on mountain bikes. And then the younger kids are coming into going further east, and they're going over to Barrio Trails, which is right by Mountain and Broadway, or going over to the university. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It's like the kids all wear helmets. Helmets are mandatory, and they're all on their bikes, and they've checked their bikes to make sure they're working. And kids are interacting with each other, supporting each other, helping each other get down the road, feel strong about what they're doing.
So do they go through classes before they get on a bike?
Well, we've trained, like we have summer bike camps, so some of the kids get trained in that arena. Some of the kids are returning, so they've been riding with us for a little while, and a year or so, and some for a few years. And but we're teaching them all the time how to pay attention, how to stay safe, how to work their gears. Like last year, I rode with a group that was going from Gruppito to Team El Grupo. And so we got young kids on mountain bikes that are now starting to ride on road bikes. Well, road bikes are really different. The tires are narrower, the gears are different, and different braking system. And you're able to go much faster. And so as we're out riding with the youth, we're talking to them about how to control their bike and how to be safe and how to not run right into the tire in front of you and give that person a little space. So it's like how to stay alert and be safe during all that time and communicate.
Right. I can't remember ever seeing El Grupo. So the kids, when they get together, they ride in a group, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
So it's kind of like the little pigeons you see on the road, or the little,
right.
They're
little like quail.
They're
like quail.
That's
right.
That's what I was thinking. And I can't remember seeing them, but they every after school.
Yeah, so it's after school, 4 days a week from El Grupo. Kids are rolling out, and then on Saturday and Sunday, depending on El Grupito, they ride once a month on the weekend, but sometimes we ride both Saturday and Sunday because we have a lot of kids in that program. We have about 57 in that program, and so that everybody gets out. But people, when you live downtown or live in West University or live on the west side, people talk about seeing us, and especially because the kids are all dressed just like each other, because we want people to notice us. When we're out on the road, we want people to notice our yellow jerseys, our light gray jerseys, and to also know that we're all together. And so it is like quail going down the road, but a little faster.
Yeah. Well, it's probably early in the morning. I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
And after school, because I'm at work, obviously from 3, whatever time it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
About 3:30 to 6.
That makes sense. I get it now. You must have kids that started in Grupito, about 6 years old, and have gone through the whole program.
Yeah. Well, Gruppito's only about 4 years old. So we had Team El Grupo for Team El Grupo's been for the entire 14 years. We've been incorporated about 11. So Team El Grupo was building over time. Like when my son went on the program, joined the program, there were 20 youth, and now there's 47. So it's really grown. But one of the things, we survey the kids and the parents every year, every kind of semester. And one of the things that the parents were saying is, I wish the kids would have started earlier and at a summer bike camp.
Because why?
It's just fun.
Oh, okay.
It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun, and you get safe. Like summer bike camp, which is a place where the parents have also said, we'd really love it if you rode, if it was more than just a week-long program.
Oh, right.
So that's how we came to El Grupito. But I took my son to summer bike camp so that he would be a safer rider. We live downtown, and although there's less traffic downtown, it's like kids first get on a bike and they get super sort of like, oh, I'm comfortable.
Right.
Now I'm jumping, curbs and, blowing through stop signs. So we came for safety reasons. And so after parents were hearing, or the El Grupo staff was hearing that they wanted more of Grupito, then we started Grupito about 4 years ago with the help of Angel Charities, who gave us a large grant over 2 years to invest in staff and to figure out how to do this younger program.
So how can people get involved?
So
money or whatever?
There's a lot of ways to get involved. We are a nonprofit organization, so we are always looking for donations. We also have sponsors for our events, and we also are a qualified charitable organization. So tax credits, people can designate their tax credit dollars, because we do provide scholarships to working poor. So we give a lot of financial aid. We charge tuition to all our kids that come through the program.
Really?
And then we have financial aid for those who can't afford it. And then we also raise money in the community for the rest of the cost of the program. So that's one way. So it's kind of two, your donations and your charitable tax dollars. And then we also have volunteers. And our volunteers do a lot of things. We have a lot of volunteer coaches that ride not only with Grupito, with our bike packing program, and also with Team El Grupo, our older kids. And then we also have volunteers who come in for our events that help us do. We've got 2 big fundraisers a year, and one's called the Scavenger Hunt, and it's exactly that. It's a scavenger hunt. It's very family friendly and super fun, and that's in the spring. And in the fall, we do Fall Fondo, which is coming up, which we're going to talk about later. And we use volunteers for that also. And then it's sort of like we have admin volunteers too, and people that work with our sort of our academic advising.
Let me put you on the spot. You said your son cycled. Do
Mm-hmm.
you?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Cool.
And I'm a lifelong commuter. And since my son was in the program, I started riding a road bike, which is a different bike. And matter of fact, I have a very nice bike. And but I've never competed. I'm more a recreational rider, but I ride 3 times a week. So I'm out there on the road.
So you're a commuter to work and back? What is
Commuter to work. I used to be more of a commuter to work when the weather was a little cooler. But lately I've been driving my car. But yeah, I commute to work, and I also commute around just on the weekend. I live downtown, so it's really easy for me to be on a bike.
Yeah, sure. You're probably out and about all the time.
And I really think the value of being on a bike is great. You see more neighbors. You get to see what's happening in town. You move a little slower through town, and also get to see, especially when you're riding on long bike rides, to get to see the desert and ride the loop.
you people get to smell the roses.
We get to smell a lot of things. We get to smell a lot of things, like the creosote.
I was just going to say that.
It's like lately the Santa.
As it rains.
It's raining right now, and the Santa Cruz is running.
Right.
And with that new water release that they're doing, and so that's really fun to see that.
Right.
And the desert bloomed amazing this summer, and it was great to be out there seeing that.
I know you guys ride in El Tour. You guys probably make good use of the loop.
We do make good use of the loop. One of the ways we use the loop is at the end. So I said Gruppito is on the semester program, and at the end of the program that starts in August through December, they ride from the clubhouse up to Catalina State Park and camp, and then ride back the next day. They ride that entirely on the loop, and it's about 30 miles.
Wow!
Yeah.
I
It's
was
a great
was
ride.
thinking, how are they going to get up there? But it makes sense.
We ride on the loop.
Very safe.
ride on the loop.
Very safe. Plenty of cyclists can get on that thing.
That's right. And one of the other ways that we use the loop is we're over at Monzo Elementary School.
Where's that? Where's that at?
Monzo is over west of I-10 by Speedway, by the School for the Deaf and Blind, that neighborhood.
Yes.
And we have 25 kids in a bike club, and we're over there 2 afternoons a week during the school semester, both spring and both fall and spring, and we work with the kids. We teach those kids how to ride the bike, and we've got bikes over there that are from Pima County Transportation Department that live at the school, and we provide staff and also youth volunteers who come from the El Grupo team that go over and ride with Monzo Elementary School kids out on the loop.
We're talking here with Kate Heller of El Grupo, the executive director. So I'm curious, and I should know this, the kids who you have in the program, not all of them own a bike, right? A lot of them are shared, or you have not shared, but they're donated to. They use those. Yeah,
we have something that's really great, which people will understand, is we have a bike library. And so we have a lot of bikes that are donated. Cyclists are very generous with the bikes that they have outgrown, or they're getting a new bike, or they've decided not to ride anymore, and they're very generous with their bikes. And we put those into what we call the bike library. And so if we get a kid that's 12, that kid's going to ride on one size bike. By the time they're 17, they're on a really different bike. And so the bikes come and go for those kids. And for the younger kids, we just have bikes there that they come in and they ride, because their parents are picking them up at school, or and like Monzo, where it's just an after school program. And so we have bikes there already that they are assigned, and all the kids know which bikes they're riding. The older kids have a road bike and a mountain bike.
Let me ask you a dumb question, but I think it's okay for me to ask.
I hope so.
So as you have the kids who ride the bikes, are they, and you talked about the kids that have bikes or whatever, I would assume that because they're not their bikes, that they would take care of them. Did you see that the kids value the importance of having something that they can make sure is workable and is theirs for a moment? You know, they don't mistreat it. Does that make sense? Where you have who take advantage of being given something that they don't have.
Yeah. So we're very much a value-based program. So we're building kids' confidence, their self-esteem, their leadership, but we're also building their responsibility
that's what I was
their ability to take care of things. And so the bikes that they get are they maintain them. We teach. We have a mechanics program. We've got mechanics on staff, bike mechanics, and we teach kids how to take care of their bikes. They go out on a ride and their bike is dirty. They need to clean their bikes. They need to oil their chains. They need to take care of their bikes, and they all have slots that they get parked in, and they're responsible for returning that bike in the shape that they received it. But we help them do that, and we tell them how to take care of a bike and be responsible for the things that they're being loaned, and that sort of builds an ownership of the program.
Yeah, I know you're not going to be here for the full hour. Excuse me, I took some water and I can't drink now. I think we should go to break, and then we'll come back and talk about the big event you have coming up pretty soon.
Great, that sounds great. Thanks.
Before I choke again on my water here, let's go to break here on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera, and in with me is Kate Hiller of El Grupo, the executive director there. I'm going to ask you, what do the kids learn, and what's the impact of what they learn?
So the kids gain a lot. It's like we focus on a lot of different things, and one of them is healthy lifestyle skills. And at El Grupo, we believe that bike skills equals life skills, and part of that is the healthy life skills, and then also a strong self-esteem, teamwork, leadership, and personal responsibility, like we were talking about, discipline on the bike.
At the end of the day, it's kind of like, what did you learn in kindergarten? All those skills?
Exactly. Exactly. So it's important for us that as kids move through our program, they each encounter challenges, especially when they get into high school. It's sort of like things start really evolving, like later middle school, high school. You're starting to grow up. You're starting to figure out where you are. And what's important to us is that kids have a place that they can be, and they get a structure that helps them be strong, have a good sense of themselves. I mean, we really encourage kids, our youth, to be at our clubhouse and to see that as their second home, and to invest themselves in the program and themselves.
This is kind of like Boys and Girls Club on bikes. True?
Yeah, it is. We have, they're similar in the sense of we have a set group of kids that come in, and we're open. We build community, and we have kids from foster care kids to middle class kids, from kids that are that are facing depression to kids that are just really excelling. And it's sort of like the combination of all those different kids coming together helps all the kids do well.
You mentioned the word depression. You see that everywhere, obviously. But I would assume that cycling, whether for fun or for competition, helps with that because you get to be free. Am I being a psychologist here where it doesn't make sense?
You are a little bit. I love it, though. But cycling, it does create a sense of freedom and independence. Whether you're a little kid like an El Grupito kid or a summer bike camp, or Team El Grupo, where you grow in your independence. And I was talking to one of our older youth the other day, and he said when he came into the program, he started at the program when he was about 11, and his mom brought him because he was depressed. And it's sort of like through the development of the program, he's become really self-confident. He is no longer depressed, and he is now starting to prepare for graduating from high school, and he's got some really clear goals. Now, I wouldn't say El Grupo did all of that. That kid had some motivation within himself, but we created the framework that helped him do that. And he gives credit to El Grupo for helping him get there.
I would assume that friendships were developed in that time too, so you probably made some friends?
He made some friends, and one of the other things that is different than friendship is teammates. And it's sort of like when you're riding on a bike, it's an independent sport. But when you get older, whether you're bike packing or you're racing, you're starting to work with a team to get to your end goal, whether that be crossing the finish line or climbing that mountain.
Sure.
And so that creates, it's a little different than friends, and it's a little different than siblings, but you rely on each other to kind of get to that next place.
And everybody's pulling the rope.
And everybody's helping pull along. And I was saying about my son riding on Team El Grupo, and what my son loves was the strategy of moving people together, how people can move forward and score, and how to get one person in front and start the chase that happens in races. He wasn't so much into the win. He was into the strategy. And still to this day, he's a couple years out, it's like that is what he really values, is sort of the intellectual thinking about it.
I like him because I think the same way. So before you leave, we have to talk about your Fall Fondo.
Yeah, so our Fall Fondo is coming up. It's on October 27th. It's a great fundraiser for El Grupo. That we have a variety of distances to ride, from 35 to 50 to 75 miles, and people ride in packs and groups. And we provide food in the morning from Beyond Bread, and then we have food all along the route, and people ride what they're comfortable with. They ride with friends. We also have a lot of our youth out there riding with the participants of the Fall Fondo. We're up about 250 riders, and we can go up to about 300. And the event starts at 7:30, and it's a really nice way to raise money for youth development in Tucson.
If you don't mind me asking this, maybe last question. So this doesn't seem like it's a cheap venture. Obviously, an inexpensive venture is probably the better phrase. How much does it take to run this?
Fall Fondo or El Grupo?
El Grupo.
Yeah. So El Grupo, we have about a $500,000 budget.
Yeah.
And we serve about 145 kids annually during the week. So we're seeing those kids from 3 to 5 days a week. And then we're also doing outreach in the community. And someone just called today and said, can you come to my high school and work with our kids? And it's like help them get bike skills. And so we're going to engage with them, with their youth. They work with kids at risk and refugee kids, and it's sort of like, so we're trying to build the whole cycling community in Tucson.
Right, must be a lot of fun. I know you have to leave, but you can stay a little while longer. I know you can.
I can.
You need to get somewhere, but so you must. I know you, even though you've only been the ED for 5 months, you've been in the program for a while. So I'm sure you've seen the kids come and go throughout the program since they were little kids.
Yeah, I have.
Even though Gruppito is 4 years, you say? Only 4
right,
years?
but when my son came into the program, he was 12 years old. And so I've seen the kids that were in his cohort, the kids older than him, and younger kids. And matter of fact, a number of our coaches and our 2 head coaches for Team El Grupo and one of our coaches for Gruppito grew up in the program. And they they went away, and then they came back, and they've come back as head coaches, and they themselves, I've got to watch them develop. And then now I'm starting to watch the kids that were younger than my son, who are now starting to be young adults, and it's great to see the confidence in these youth and their ability. They really feel like they own Tucson too. They've been riding in Tucson for a long time. They have lots of friends, and we have lots of friends at El Grupo because the cycling community really supports us.
Right.
And they come and ride with us. And so the kids, our youth, know a lot of people in Tucson.
I don't know this to be true. I know that, but I'll ask you. Youth cycling helps develop future cyclists. True, I would assume. But and that's kind of like
you can like swimming. You can be a lifelong swimmer, a lifelong cyclist.
That's where I want to go with it, because cycling, has it hit a just kind of like a peak here, or you see more kids getting into it, so you can see future cyclists?
We'll there. One of the ways that cycling is growing is
so it is growing.
It is growing, and one of the ways that it's growing is. In the last, I think, we're in our 4th year of the NICA, which is the mountain bike races through high schools.
Yes, I've done stories on that. Yeah.
In Arizona, it's like it's 4 years old, 5 years old, and so high schools. When El Grupo first started, there was just a handful of teams. Now they've got 2,000 kids racing,
right.
And they come from all over the state. Havasu Pi up on the reservation up by, or Havasu Pi Lake, or Havasu City, Sierra Vista. Sierra Vista's got a huge team, Buena, and from Safford, from rural Arizona, from the White Mountains, and then from your urban areas like Tucson and Phoenix. And those kids are all coming together for 5 races during the fall. And it's really exciting.
When does the season go to?
It starts in August and it goes through November.
Those November. So if we chase those people, they could actually maybe even ride an El Tour, because they ride. They actually ride. They
do. And for the mountain bike, for the high school kids that are riding mountain bike, the mountain bike high school mountain bike races, is some of them are just starting to train as soon as school starts. And they're a great group, and many of them do ride El Tour. It's sort of like now that they have trained and they're ready, they're more confident on their bikes. But for the mountain bike folks, they have to transfer over to a road bike, or they have to ride their mountain bike.
Right. And that's not easy.
It's not. It's challenging, but kids do it. Last year we had the kids that we work with at Monzo Elementary School. They came out and rode the short El Tour, and then our kids from Grapito, they rode the 50 miles. And and so it's sort of like the kids are now, they're getting on bikes, they're getting more confident, and of course all the enthusiasm that's going on at El Tour helps them sort of go farther.
Right,
they're tired when they end, but it helps them.
So you said some of the Grapito rode in El Tour.
Absolutely.
50 miles?
Yep.
I can't remember. How old is that? 10?
So they're 7 to 12.
7, 12. Okay. I know the 12, 13-year-olds. Yeah. Yeah. And there were a few of those.
That's right.
A few, like more than 10.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then we had Monzo Elementary School, and we thought that how far that they would go, that it would take a long time, but they just flew down the road.
Right.
It's the enthusiasm, all of it.
Don't underestimate 10-year-olds or 13-year-olds.
Exactly.
Me, maybe, yes.
Yeah, you maybe.
I may take me 2 weeks to do that, but them, a few hours.
Well, I just want to tell you one other thing that we're really proud of at El Grupo, and that's some of our outcomes. And it's like, out of Team El Grupo, we have 100% high school graduation rate.
Mm-hmm.
And 90% of those kids are going to college. And the other kids are headed in vocational ways. They want to be pilots. They want to be mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have found sort of this other avenue, but they're all succeeding, and we're really proud of that.
Well, that's why I asked you at the beginning. I think that you see a different type of kid who cycle. You can see they're kind of overachievers, or there's something. It's like when you play chess, or you know those people do well beyond cycling.
Well, to ride this summer, the kids have to get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to be out riding.
And they're crazy.
And they're crazy to be out riding by 6:15. Right. So if they are riding for 3 hours, they're done before the heat comes in. And that builds a strong sense of self, responsibility, purpose. They have to get up early. They have to have their kits ready.
Right.
They have to have their snacks ready. So it's building a strong sense of self.
Yes. No, I think that's what you do when you're young, whether it's playing football, playing baseball. It's kind of teamwork, self, confidence, things like that. That's what you build at that level, and then hope that they carry on beyond.
And it's all good. It's like the participating in sports is really great for kids, no matter what the sport is, whether they're runners, they're swimmers, they're doing basketball or football. It's like sports are a great way to learn teamwork and self-confidence, and it's like coaches can really make a big difference in a kid's life.
And conversely, coaches can also mess up a kid's life if they're not good coaches. That's right.
And we at El Grupo, we're currently going through USA Cycle or USA. I think of them as USA Cycling, but it's USA Sports. They have put together a safe sport training that they're encouraging all kids athletic programs to go through, and it's an amazing program. And they're working on all those things so that kids don't get hazed, they're not bullied, there's no sexual harassment, and that kids get all the high achievements of what they want out of sports, not only athletically but personally.
It's funny because I've talked about this on this show a number of times. If I were a owner of a business and I knew that you played sports at some level, high school, college, you want those kids, one, because they know about teamwork, they know about sacrifice, they know about what it is to succeed. And they've worked together with others. Right. And in today's world, you need people who play well together to make it work.
And I'd also say discipline. It's like, to be an athlete, you have to be disciplined, and you have to put everything in order. It's like with cycling, you have to push yourself sometimes when you don't want to go any further. And now you're out on your bike and you got to get back, So there's a lot of self-discipline going on and being taught.
Right, no question. And you start at the lower levels. So you could be 15 years old and still not ever having ridden a bike, show up at El Grupo and be welcome. Yeah.
Well, we're trying to train all sorts of cyclists. Like, we're going to work with this school, one of the high schools, hopefully Catalina High School, to help them with some kids that are at their school. And some of those kids have never ridden a bike. There's no bikes in their family, and they have county bikes. And I just talked to someone from Catalina High this afternoon about how El Grupo could come out and help do some bike clinics with them, so that their kids develop the skills and understand how to ride a bike.
Very cool. Very cool. This is just going to start this
Yeah,
school year?
that I'm talking about on the radio is crazy. We just talked about it this afternoon, so we're
okay.
still working out the details.
So-
but we're doing that. But we have a kid that just tried out for Team El Grupo. He wasn't a big cyclist, and he just found it, and he's super excited about coming on the team.
What age? 15. Oh, so exactly the person I was talking about.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good idea because
Yeah.
you never know. Hey, a lot of adults don't know how to
Right.
cycle.
That's right.
You don't have this for adults, do you?
We don't, but people always ask us for that.
Yeah. What do you call it? Grupito was the small kids. We'll figure out.
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out.
But what a great organization.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming
and
on.
the Fall Fondo, it's on our website, elgrupocycling.org,
Real quick, October.
27th.
Okay. Any numbers you want to give out? Website?
Oh, yeah. So elgrupocycling.org. And you can also email us at info@elgrupocycling.org. Phone number 520-429-6138. Thanks so much for having me on.
Sure. No, this is fun. It goes quite quickly, doesn't it?
It does. It's amazing.
Kate Heller from El Grupo, Executive Director there. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the first hour. We'll take a break here and come back on the other side here on 1030 The Voice. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. That was a good discussion with Kate Hiller from El Grupo. It's kind of not sport. It's sports related, but kind of out of my wheelhouse for sports in these talks. But I really enjoy talking about stuff like that. And now this will be a little different for me too. I have Curtis Kaufman in. He, I know you work with DISC, Human Behavior Consultant. That's what you are. But what do you kind of do? You kind of I hate people like you because I'm wondering, is he kind of looking at me and observing what I'm doing?
Yes, at times. You're how you dress, the language you use. If you say "I think" or "I feel," will give me different clues.
Very cool.
How fast you talk or how slow.
Oh man, so I took a test last night. Tell me what test I took.
Okay, first off, you know how there used to be the swearing jar where you got to put money in for swearing? The T word's like a swear word to us. It's an assessment. So, because there's no wrong answers. DISC is a universal language. Everyone has a DISC style. It's morals neutral. You're not good or bad. Bad guys have DISC styles. Good guys have DISC styles.
When I took, I think there were like 20, 25 questions. I think about that. And it was like, to me, sometimes trick questions because I said, didn't I already answer this question 10 questions ago? So I'm wondering, are they looking for me to give you some consistent answers? And I'm thinking, I couldn't remember what I did 10 questions ago, but this sounds very familiar. And I'm wondering if I'm picking the right ones because I know it's not a test like that, right. But it was like a lot of the same questions, just different. And then the answers were phrased different, but the same. So I'm thinking, what are you going to come up with here?
Well, it's interesting what they do come up with because I took the DISC, the fitness assessment for the first time.
Is that what I took?
That's what you took.
Okay.
And that's a little different than our regular adult concise assessment. And having gone through the training a year ago and been practicing now for a year, I'm saying, okay, well, that's this style. And so I'm struggling trying to make sure I'm answering it honestly. And then I had a conversation with a friend of mine. So this assessment is designed for fitness, but you and I are probably looking at it through a sports perspective.
Correct, yes.
And so that's a little different. This is a great tool for fitness, the guys that are personal trainers in gyms and stuff. So to work with the client, to understand the client's style so they can help them be more effective in their workouts.
To teach them better or to know where they're coming from? Yeah. Okay.
So, you answered 24 questions, and you answered I am most like and I'm least like.
Right.
So what that does, it gives us then the two graphs. The I am least like is what we base the basic graph off. And if you don't like something, you don't like it whether you're at home, at school, on vacation. That's consistent.
Yes, but there were trick questions in there because like I say, sometimes they seem repetitive, and I'm thinking, well, I didn't like it in the last question, but I kind of like it now. Because you had four levels of dislike or four different choices. And I'm thinking, oh man.
And that's the beauty of it, Steve. We're all a unique blend of all four styles.
Oh, okay.
Everybody has. I've seen people that score 100.
So there is a score?
There is a ranking from 0 to 100 on the graph.
Mm-hmm.
And but I've never seen anybody score a 0. I think a 3 is as low as I've seen.
I did sign my name on the SATs. You should get at least some points for signing your name on the SATs. So so tell me. So I'm not that curious because I really don't want to know. Tom might want to know. He says, "See, I was dealing with a dummy, but we'll see. No, what do you have for me?
Well, let's
let's not go there yet.
Okay.
Okay. So when you got it, did you start? Was it easy to read? Was it easy to evaluate?
As far as yours, it was. So you're the first, outside of myself, you're the first fitness one. I normally see the regular DISC assessments. So it was a little more difficult, but what I saw across the board is you like people.
I do. It just depends on the day, Tom. But let me also say that what if someone who is not self-aware takes this test?
So if they're not self-aware, it may take them closer to an hour to do the test instead of or maybe an hour and a half instead of 20, 30 minutes. So you can cheat because you can either give the answer you think the person wants, especially if it's in an employer-employee situation, or you can give the answer you would like to be.
Say, Curtis, since Steve has brought me into the conversation obliquely, I have in the past called him antagonistic.
Yes.
Is that a fair assessment based on your findings?
Actually, it's really not.
Oh, well, good. We'll get Steve a reprieve, and we'll tell Tom to not call him antagonistic anymore.
No, actually, if you want to call him something that's accurate, you could call him sweet, loyal.
All right.
Task-oriented or people-oriented?
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. When you either getting up in the morning or going to bed, are you thinking about what you have to do or who you're going to do it with?
What I have to do.
Okay, so that would be more task. So outgoing task would be in that D side, the direct, the driven. Now, here's one that's really important about Ds. They're great defenders. They'll stick up for somebody. They don't need everybody on their side. If they know that person is being taken advantage of, they'll step in and stick up for
Very true.
And now, what happens, though, any strength taking too far can become a weakness. So a D will look defiant and arrogant if they're not careful. That's how they'll be perceived. Maybe that's where, Tom
comes in. Yeah. So let's take a break.
Sure.
Hold that thought. I'm thinking that this would be a perfect test. Maybe it's being used.
Okay, put another $1 in the jar.
Perfect test?
Yeah, that's $2.
Why?
It's an assessment.
Oh, okay. I better not say that word anymore. I can't afford you. Let's take a break real quick, and I have a lot more questions here on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera, and I'm with Curtis Kaufman, a DISC human behavior consultant. I'm wondering that this could be used to save a lot of marriages before the actual marriages happen. Yes?
Yes. In fact, I have a couple different things that we do. I did this very thing with a booklet. I'm so glad I'm marrying you, with a young couple. And they are in Ohio, and I'm here, and we just did it over the phone and with Zoom. So,
that I's go with C's or C's go with S's, and you know who's more compatible?
Everybody. So typically, you might find that across the diagonal, the your blind spot works.
Are good for you?
Good for you. There's a graph. There's my wife, and there's me. So we're in the same quadrant. We're very similar.
So is that good?
Married, be 42 years in December.
Wait, yeah, but they're in the same quad. So what? So isn't it just then however you guys deal with each other?
Sure.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, it's how we deal with each other. And the more I learned about me and the more I learned about her, I heard a guy talk about this just the other day. I decided I was never going to let my wife outlove me or outserve me. That's a great attitude. And if I understand her language, there's a book, I think, Gary Chapman, the 5 Love Languages. It's the same principle. When you understand to speak their language,
you're better off.
You're better off.
Welcome to the Dr. Phil hours here on KVUI.
And you just go, yes, dear.
Yeah. Well, that's the next best thing to do. Yes. And I've been told that. Yes, that's the best thing. So it doesn't really matter. It does. So you look at this and you say cross, but you guys are in the same, so it's okay. It's about people behaving nicely to each other.
Right.
At the end of the day. So okay. So let's go back to what we were talking about before. It's the assessment. Can I get my money back for that jar that I owe $2 to?
Yeah, we'll let you start over.
Okay, great. Now I know better.
Yeah, as long as you say assessment, you can keep taking $1 back out.
Okay, I'm going to say that a number of times. There's only $2 in there. So what made you decide to do this?
So again, I'm a retired pastor of 30 years, serve a small congregation. I wanted to be able to understand people, to be able to help them. I am a high school dropout. I am a heavy equipment operator. So I am self-taught. But I don't have any formal education or training in counseling. I just have 5 kids.
So you need to work and work a lot.
Exactly.
Yes. Kids who play sports.
They do.
So I'm going to cough here in a sec, but did you do these assessments on your kids?
Well, on that page right there. So this is where a business or a team can take advantage of this, doing this, because you can plot where your players are on the graph. You can then, I have a friend who's a men's college at Paradise Valley Community College soccer coach, and then also a high school. He had a team that was all D's and I's.
Is that good?
It's not good or bad, but once he understood it, the D's, they want results. They want to get going. They want to have. The I's, they just want to have fun. They're just goofballs. And so what he did is he took and at the start of the practice, instead of doing drills, he took a garbage can, turned it upside down, said, okay, hit the garbage can, you score a point. So now the D's, they had a choice and a challenge to get results, and the I's were having fun because they're playing a game. What happened then in the games just was remarkable, because everybody was getting their needs met in practice.
Right. No, that's perfect. And you can kind of say what combinations work with what combinations. Yeah. I'm sure talent had something to do with it as well, but you can figure out who can do what or who does what for you. So this is kind of fun for me because I'm about psychology of the sport, and you can talk about talent all you want, but if you have a lot of talent, but you have no brains to back it up, what's the point? So this is a lot about psychology of the sport, or if you could use it for that.
You can use it. It's a tool to help do that.
How important is that? How important is psychology of the sport, do you think?
I think it's extremely important, because if you have a kid who's, so here, let's take my son. He's not on this, but he's over here in the IS area. Went on, played at South Point for Wolf, loved him.
So, okay, what year?
He graduated in 2005.
Oh, okay.
It was the first TSA team to go all the way through from freshmen through seniors.
Okay.
And went on to University of Akron. Now, he loved to play, and he sat on the bench the majority of his career. But his senior year, they went to the national championship.
You're talking about soccer, college soccer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Against Virginia. That game goes on and ends up going to a shootout. They lose that game in the shootout. The next year, after he graduated, they came back and won the thing out in Santa Barbara in 2010. What he brought to the team is he could give a speech. apparently on Thursday nights before the actual Final Four starts, they have a big team dinner for all 4 teams. So they were playing that year, Wake Forest, Virginia, and North Carolina. So when he gets up to give his speech, the first thing he does is, well, I want to thank the ACC for inviting us to their tournament. And he just had that ability to connect with people from the inspiring side. My granddaughter, which we just took her up to Boise, she also played at South Point. She was one of those three-peat state championship. She's a C, different mindset. She's very analytical, follows the rules, but the D in her plays hard, and she'll put a bone crunching tackle on you. So it's going to be interesting to see how her career goes.
So at what age do you do these for them, or on the?
I sat down, this young man over here, Chase, I sat down with him a couple weeks ago on a Sunday evening. He's 8. So we have specially designed assessments for children from 5 to 13. Then we go to a teenage one, and then after 18 to the adult. So we have all different levels.
So could Chase go from an S to a D in his lifetime? Can you change who you are?
You can. What will change? Yes, if you have maybe a traumatic event or some major life change. But typically, I just had this where a gal, she was an ID, a DI in here until she took the fitness, and then she was down here, and then she had a real traumatic event in her life, and she took one, and she was over here. So, but the 3 out of the 5 were all within a close range.
So you have in your little diagram here, you have a lot of people on the outskirts of the circle.
Correct.
What does that mean compared to the inside of the circle, the bullseye area?
So, and I actually have one in the bullseye, which is very unusual. The farther out, the more intense you are in that area.
Oh, really?
The more you come, so that one in the middle is called a level. It's my older son, Carl. And he has the ability to just very easily move into the same style as the person he's talking to.
He's like a chameleon?
That's the nickname we give him. 1 in 500 people. The people that trained me in 6 years of training several thousand people, they'd only seen 3 levels. I come home from training and give the codes to my kids, and I have one in my family.
Oh, wow.
But you're close to a level.
Which level would that be?
Well, you're not on that. If you in the other book, on I think second page, is yours, and you're an SDI.
So let's do me right now. So you said I'm sweet, kind, and whatever. Oh, here it is. Sweet, kind, and bright, and good looking. So
how about if we just real quick go around and talk about the other 3 styles real quick, so I can put it in context?
Please.
So the I's, again, are outgoing people. They're the inspiring, the influencers. They like to have a good time. You know when they show up because they brought the party.
Right.
The D, the direct, that's the guy that when you're at that networking event, he's already got his hand out and trying to shake your hand before he's even got up to you.
Sure.
The S is the supportive style. Now, they're going to be they're reserved people. And so they'll tend to be the people that are in the background. They don't like to be out front. They're the best teammates in the world. They're very, very loyal. And they're there to help. They're there to support. Again, quite honestly, I saw that with you in doing these, and then asking me when you came down to meet us at the food bank the other Saturday, hey, what can I do to help out?
Right.
It just naturally flows out of you.
Right.
Then the C's are the conscientious. They're the cautious ones. They're the detail people. They love the details. A lot of accountants, lawyers, people that can...
The boring guys.
Yeah. They do not like risk.
Really?
Yeah, they don't like to take risks. In fact, they'll get paralyzed, the paralysis of analysis.
Oh, yeah.
They'll get stuck because they need too much information.
So let me ask you, I play poker a little, and I love to compete. So are there better players in this diagram? Because if you're a C and you're an attorney or whatever, you don't like to take risks, you're not going to be good at that game because you don't want to risk your money against somebody else's and possibly lose. True, I would assume that. So is there a better D, S, or I or C that's...
You would find probably your Ds.
Because they're...
Very driven. They'll run over you.
And that's how you're supposed to play poker anyway, kind of aggressive.
Okay. But like the lady that was here before, Kate,
Uh-huh.
her talking about her son who loved the strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a clue that he may be a C, or he's got a strong C influence in his life because he likes that, trying to figure out how to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if he finishes first, but he wants to figure out the puzzle.
Right.
How the puzzle is made. I mean. Okay. So what about eyes?
The eyes. So they're the inspiring. They're the influencers. Now the problem with eyes is they can be distracted easily.
Yeah, I was going to say there's kind of like more of laissez-faire. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times my dad looked at me and said, "You just got that stupid devil may care attitude."
Right.
Well, he was right, but that's how I'm wired.
Sure.
I wasn't trying to pull his chain, but I did a good job.
And then the S's?
The S's are very supportive. They're very stable. They're the best teammates to have because they'll be there to help you out. They've got your back. They'll work hard for you.
So in the world that I asked you the question, it was D's are probably the best because they're aggressive and you need to, in order to play that game, you need to not care about money and willing to lose, willing to risk it all for whatever you're trying to risk it for. But that would be the aggressive D's.
But then you have the C's who who have studied the game,
sure,
understand, they can count the cards, they know of all of the combinations.
Sure.
So a C could make a great poker player too.
Sure, but he's only going to risk it if he knows he's got a good advantage.
That's more than likely the truth.
Yeah.
But if he's got a little D in him,
True.
He'll go all in sometimes.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
The eye, he's gone all in right at the beginning, so he's on the outside, looking who's buying drinks.
Right. He doesn't care. Exactly. So okay, so where are we going with this now?
So real quick, I like to use the GPS. Everybody has the GPS on their phone.
Yeah.
So D's, when they look at the GPS for their location they're going to, they see how many minutes it's going to take. D's love a challenge, so the first thing they go is, I can beat that. And even as the things recalculating is on the trip home, they're still saying, I'm going to beat that. And that's why they go through the yellow light as it's turning pink.
Yeah.
It's that he's a D trying to get there.
Right.
Now the I's, the GPS will tell you, exit in 5 miles, exit in 4 miles, exit in 3 miles, exit in 900 feet. And he just drove by it. Because he was distracted looking at stuff. Like I said, I had to go back into the house 3 times to get stuff that I knew I needed.
So you're on the edge of that. So you are intense, an intense eye, right?
Yes.
Can you be off the chart?
I've actually had, it plotted off the chart. They were at 100. So there's 30. So because there's 10 styles in each quadrant, and then the one in the middle. So we have 41 different blends. So there's, in each graph, there's over 19,000 plotting points you can be on there. You can see, like right here, my daughter and I are real close. I had a couple guys on our ministry team, we did this, and they were literally on top of each other.
So as you look at this evaluation, and I know the radio people can't hear, I'm listening to and talking to Curtis Kaufman, a DISC human behavior consultant. Who would you want to be friends with? And you can tell who you want to be friends with here, and who would you not want to mess with?
So honestly, you want to learn to be friends with everybody because they bring
something to the
table. You're going to be more likely friends with a person who's either horizontally next to you, like a D to an I, or a D to a C. D's to S's. S's tend to kind of shrink back when a D gets in their face.
Oh, yeah.
But once they understand when the D challenges an S, is saying, hey, okay, I want to know some more, so show me what you got. If they will stand up to that and then show them what they have, the D's will buy into it.
Right.
So it's learning how to communicate with the other. So there's there's ways to communicate that'll be more effective.
So you have Carl, your son, who's a dead center chameleon. How close is Robert to being a chameleon? Because he's kind of close.
He is kind of close. And what's kind of interesting, he is, that's another. So he's 10 years old. So when I did this.
How many kids do you have on this thing?
I don't have all of them. I'm missing 5 that can do it, and I got 2 that can't do it. So they're not old enough yet, because one's going to be born here in about 3 weeks.
Okay. You're confusing me, but go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I got 5 kids and
Okay.
eight grandkids.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, but when I did this with Chase,
Mm-hmm.
because in that assessment, we use robots. So they're identifying with a robot and they're put into a situation like one's camping, one's fishing, where they're in a restaurant and they're serving, managing all this.
Mm-hmm.
Chase at 8 years old was asking me questions and telling me why he wasn't that one or this one, because this is what would happen if they did that. So here's an 8-year-old going really deeper than a lot of adults would go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My 10-year-old grandson, when we did it, we were up in Boise and just dropped his sister off to get ready for college, and I made him sit down and do it with me. He was distracted, so he did it, but he wasn't into it like the 8-year-old was.
So, and this is just the health part of it, or the fitness part of it, correct?
Actually, that's just the other side. That's just the main assessment.
Oh, this is the main
Yeah,
assessment.
none of those are health assessment or fitness assessments.
Now I'm curious could you tell what I would be in?
I would have an idea that you probably have a shared one. You probably have a share with the S&I, but the way you talk about being a D, I think you might be a DI. So
So if I said, okay, next time I see you, and I take the test that I could have taken.
Put the money in the jar.
Oh yeah, darn. Darn. How do you buy you dinner eventually? When I take the assessment again, if I said, predict where I'll land on this target, and we'll see how close you come.
Well, how you answer the 2 questions, outgoing a task, I would say you're a D.
D, okay.
But you're probably over there toward either,
closer to the middle.
or the DI, closer to the I.
Oh, okay, so somewhere over here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So now I want to do it because I want to see how close you're going to get me, and to see what the heck you think of me. So let's take a break here now. We're going to go to that when we come back and get your assessment of me and maybe being like a whatever, psychopath, whatever. I don't know what the heck you're going to come from this.
We'll do it.
Yeah, thanks. You're listening to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm your host, Steve Rivera, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera, and I'm talking to Curtis Kaufman, a DISC human behavior consultant. Have you asked teams to try to do this so you can maybe get more of a sample size when sports are involved?
I've approached different teams at different levels, at club levels, at high school levels, and it keeps falling. Yeah, it sounds good, and then I never get any response from it. So, yeah. So if there's a team out there that wants to make a difference using some psychology and understanding, building better relationships for the team, I think you can get great results.
I would do this tomorrow if I were a coach, because it's just it's fascinating, and people disregard that or don't take it as seriously as they should. Because, in fact, I won't say who it is, a psychologist, not so much a sports psychologist, but a psychologist, firstborn, secondborn, babies, and all that stuff playing together on a team, that plays a part. At least that's what he says. I agree with him. Because all the personalities on one team, you need C's. You need C's and D's.
Absolutely.
People who are going to take control. You need every type of these. You need guys who are going to bust their butt. And they're all part of this equation here, and hope they're good enough to win you games.
Well, that S, who usually gets overlooked, is the largest in the group in the population at large. They're 35%. They're the blue-collar, hard-working guy who's trying to, help everybody out. They're the guy that makes the great assist. To give you, you're talking about that where you're born making a difference. My second son is 4.5 years younger than his older brother. He would go along with them to play as a kid, and they treated him like first base.
Sure.
You're going to cry, go home.
Yeah.
That set in him a determination that he was going to keep up with them, and eventually, at a younger age, he became better.
No, and I've said this 1,000 times on this show. In order to be better, be better at what you do, get beat a few times.
Yeah.
And get beat a lot of times. It teaches you how to lose. It teaches you need to get better at what you do. No, the younger kids are the better players than the older kids because they've hung around those people. They've been beat a few times. It doesn't always happen that way, but
sure. But they learn a lot from those older kids because they try stuff now because they've seen them do it.
Right. They're not afraid of that. Yeah. So you want to do my evaluation?
sure
Tell me
what
how
part of your
screwed
evaluation you want to do.
Tell me how screwed up I am, or how out of shape I am. I already kind of know.
Well, actually, this doesn't address either one of those things.
What does it do?
It addresses who you are and how you can be, better, with your fitness. Eyes tend to become they're not very focused, so you got to give them short-term goals. A long-term goal for an eye may be a week to a month.
Mm-hmm.
You give them daily goals that they can hit and stay focused on. The S's, they want peace and harmony, so they don't like a lot of change, so they want a routine. So you got to push them sometimes to take that next step, take a little risk, get out of your comfort zone. So if I know I have someone who's an S and that's in their fitness style, I can push them, but I can find that, whatever it is, where they're more likely to accept that challenge.
Well, I am an S. And I'm not an intense S.
Well, we talked about the Lute Olson Fantasy Basketball Camp.
Yeah.
How, that falls right into your wheelhouse. You love bringing people together and having fun, but you like the competition that, like you said, there's some guys that, even as they're older, they still can hit a basket.
Sure. I know that's why they love to play, but they also want to have fun and enjoy themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A C. So in the fitness style of a C, you like to kind of keep track of your stats and your progress,
right,
and how you're doing and how you're performing. As the I part, you want to have fun at what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got to do something that's just the same thing over and over and over again, it becomes boring.
Oh, sure. Job. This is kind of like a job evaluation too, because if you're an I and you're not in a good spot, you're not going to stay at that job very long.
If you put an I and seclude them off by themselves, you're absolutely right. They'll be looking for another job. Put an I with a group of people.
Yeah, right. Whether they get the job accomplished or not, that's up to them, because they'd be fooling around. No, you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
The more tendency to have fun and fool around, and now good luck with the job.
Well, and that's why you partner them with maybe some S's and D's. D's have a little drive. S's are, come on, let's work together. We can get this done. We also have a hiring assessment where you kind of come together, figure out the employee you want to hire,
right,
and then you do disc assessments to match that position.
So do companies have stuff like this?
Yes.
And is it legal?
Yes.
Is it legal to use? You can't ask certain questions, blah, blah, blah. I would assume that, Steve, there's a chance we'll hire you. Of course, I'm going to take the test. But, part of the requirement is taking a test for a job. It's like a drug test.
Put money in the jargon.
Oh. Simon says don't say the T word.
The T word.
The T word. Okay. So, you know what I'm saying? It would seem that so it's illegal to take, or whatever, but I guess I'd be used for employment stuff too.
Absolutely. It's a tool, and all you're doing is, because you're trying to find a person who's going to be a good fit. Go right back to that page with all those words.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That right there.
Uh-huh.
So those 20 words describe you. Now those words are the same words for every combination like you are, the SIC. What's unique about the 20 words is the order they're in. The order is special to you as an individual.
What's the first one to the last one? Is it more predominant?
It's more intense at the first one, and it drops off towards the bottom.
Which is very sad. If I play poker, I'm predictable. Well, and I kind of am. That's why I'm horrible at it. Persuasive, okay, easygoing, very true, soft-hearted, debatable, as my kids would tell you. Steadfast, I agree. Logical, very so much. Cooperative, okay. Tom, don't cover. Cooperative, cover your ears, Tom. Compassionate, sure. Loyal, very correct. Every now and again, teachable, okay. I'm losing it there. Systematic, yeah. Optimistic, very much. Enthusiastic, okay. Kind, diplomatic, orderly, good listener. Slower paced, and conservative. These are, but it's kind of like, it's like, let me tell you this. I like this a lot, very accurate in my mind, but it's like you go to a show where the mind reader.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on here, let me see. your dad passed away. His name was Eloy, and he blah blah blah. He says, "Well, how did that happen?" Okay, you got lucky for like 5 of the 6 of them, or what do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then what if other words would have been used? I would have said, "Yeah, that's kind of true. That's kind of true." Don't these apply to everybody?
Not in this order necessarily. They apply to this blend, the SIC.
Okay.
So they apply to.
So all SICs would be here.
Yes, they would be this group of words, different order depending on where you plot on this point.
So so as you see, how many of these have you done?
I'm probably about 50 now.
50 now. Okay, so now you're probably going to say, okay, after the show, Steve, you're going to go home, you're going to get in your car, and you're going to do this. This is kind of like, the psychobabble. You can kind of say, I know what you're thinking, and don't do it.
I actually had a guy that I've never met personally. We were talking on the phone, and we kind of ran through this with the 2 questions, and I started saying some things, and he goes, "Is this voodoo? Because you're way too accurate."
Right.
But it's how people behave. It's how we all behave, and once you understand what styles do what, it's just it's a matter of statistics.
What got you into this?
I was a pastor for 30 years, and so I just wanted to serve people better. One of the things we're doing is we've got we call them at promise kids. They might otherwise be called at risk at Myers-Ganung.
At promise. Okay.
And so we take 5th graders and maybe a couple 4th graders. We work on leadership and personal responsibility. And this year we're going to start with a DISC assessment for them, and so that we understand them from the get-go.
So do you charge people for these assessments?
We do.
Assessments?
You did good. You got your you got your dollar back. I think you're even by now.
I think I am too. So so you what's the price? Can you tell?
At the very basic adult is $13 up to $70. This particular sports fitness one is typically right at $30.
What's the other one? What's the other one that I really want to get involved with?
That would be the concise. We can go from 6 page at $13 all the way up to the 65% leadership one.
Can you find out more about the person through that test than this one?
Different data, yes.
Different data. Different questions, obviously.
Yes. 24 different questions. This assessment there's out of the 24 questions, 12 are fitness related, even though it seemed like there was a lot the same, and 12 are DISC related.
Mm-hmm. So you have the Steve strengths. Do you have the Steve weaknesses?
There is in there Steve's strategies.
Where's the Steve's good-looking page? Oh, it's missing.
It's in the back page where you look really good. It's your ideal fitness activities. There you are crawling through the mud in a Batman costume.
Sure, it's actually looking. Someone's giving me CPR there.
But again, everybody's a blend of all 4. There's no right or wrong. Everyone's,
you are who you are.
You are who you are.
Right.
And the more you understand who you are and to learn to read others so you can connect with them, that's the magic, connecting with other people.
People don't have time for that. People don't have time to read other people. Don't you think that, I'm too tired to do that? Truthful. You're a pastor. You probably see that. Yeah. No, explain what you just did.
Everybody's on their phone.
Yeah. Interaction's not good.
Thousands of relationships an inch deep instead of deeper.
Right. It's not going to get any better.
It is not.
So you're no longer a pastor?
I am retired as a pastor.
So aren't you fortunate to be out of the business?
You know what? I just I changed positions, not purposes. My purpose has always been to help people find out who they are and how they can live in a better relationship with others.
Very cool. So what got you into that? Long story. I only have a minute.
Okay, so real quick, a little bit. I was a lay pastor, very small conservative church. We just picked people from the congregation when they need a preacher, and I got picked when I was 32.
Wow. That must have been kind of cool, too.
It was.
You had to kind of understand what you're doing on the fly and then learn.
I just to learn about the Bible. I read the Bible.
Where at?
It was called Apostolic Christian Church. It still is. It's over off Magnolia behind in 22nd.
In town. So
town.
You're a native?
No, just 42 years.
Just 42, so you're almost a native.
Yeah. Grew up in the Northwest.
Yeah. Oh, really? Where?
Oregon, a little town called Silverton outside of Salem, south of Portland, 50 miles.
Mm-hmm. I know the area, but I don't know that place.
Willamette Valley.
You have to get lost to find that place.
You may.
And those dark ice, the black ice. Wow, scary stuff.
Yeah, we don't have too much of that. All our ice we can see.
Over there, up there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When we get it.
I almost got killed in Portland driving on those fields.
But that's a little different up there along the Columbia River.
Yeah, that's very tough. It was very tough. Great to have you here. We got to have you back because I want to do my other test. And
you're negative.
Oh, shoot. Yes.
I'd be thrilled and privileged. It's been an honor. Thank you so much, Steve, for allowing me the time.
Yeah, and thank you for seeing ghosts because it allowed me to do what I did for your granddaughter and the entire South Point team.
Yeah,
very as they won their three-peat soccer. They're pretty good. She's a pretty good coach, too.
She really is. Kelly's a lot of fun. She's doing a great job.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks again for coming in.
You're welcome.
All the way down here, and we'll call it a night. Tom, we can go back to being fighters or haters or whatever would you call me, antagonists?
We're not haters. Come on.
Oh, I got to go back to my other reputation tomorrow. Here we go on 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk.